ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, TheScoreEsports.com, G2A, NVIDIA, and ESEA.
Hello and welcome to our Sunday Fun Day for ESL Pro League. My name is Mega Man. Joining me is going to be Bach, and we're going to be having a extravaganza of matches today. We've got 6 different teams and 5 different maps to bring you guys over the course of the next 6 hours. So buckle up. It's going to be an exciting time. Bach, how you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, you mentioned we're only missing 2 maps from the current pool. We're not going to see Dust 2. We're not going to see Mirage. But we get to see like everything else in between. It's going to be a long day. I think it's like 6 hours or something like that.
Yeah, well, you and I are no strangers to long casting days.
Correct.
Having worked at Philadelphia together a couple of different times, so we're pretty comfortable doing the long sessions with each other.
Got to stretch out the vocal cords a little.
Absolutely. I mean, if I stretch mine out anymore, I'll be like Barry White up in here. The first 2 teams that we're going to see in the first 2 maps are going to be OpTic versus compLexity. We saw both of those teams last night. This time around, it's going to be Overpass and Cash. We saw compLexity take Cloud9 into overtime on Overpass yesterday, and then we saw them lose big to Cloud9 on Cash yesterday as well. OpTic, they played against Renegades yesterday. They won big in the first match on Inferno, and then they lost on Cobblestone. Pretty big, actually. I think it was like 16-9 on that map. So OpTic coming off a 1-1 split, compLexity on an 0-2. And hopefully they can get it together here. But OpTic, in the past, they've looked pretty good on Overpass. And it was really kind of individual performance from Roka and Sanks yesterday on Overpass that really kept them in it.
Yeah, OpTic, when they played Renegades the other day, was a 16-9. But we haven't seen them play Overpass on the season yet. They're 3-0 on Cash, though. 16-11 over AGG, 16-6 over Splice, 16-13 over Cloud9. And OpTic is quickly becoming like the North American favorite. When you look before, like the last few seasons, it's always been the same players: Liquid, CLG, Cloud9. It's nice to see a new face. Like last season, they really surprised people as Conquest, and they're doing it again as OpTic. They're currently tied for first place with the highest round differential of every team in Pro League. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the way that OpTic's playing, and I pretty much think this is going to be a blowout. I think this will be a quick 2-0 for OpTic.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I think that if there's going to be a map that that compLexity is going to have an opportunity on, it's going to be on Overpass. I don't think that they're really going to stand much of a chance on Cash. Their recent performances against both Energy and against Cloud9 have been lackluster, to say the least. We are live into the knife round, though, so I assume that we're over into the end game right now. So going to be bringing you guys the action here, and we'll see who gets to start off on the CT or Terrorist side. This map kind of even for the most part. We've actually seen some teams opt to start on Terrorist side versus starting on the CT side, so we'll see how this one comes out, but it's going to be compLexity's choice to make.
And I would imagine they're going to start on the CT side. Their T side has left a lot to be desired. They can rely a little bit heavily on Roka and Sanks on their T side to try and open things up. Fraud, obviously we know who he is. He's been around for a long time. He's fulfilling more of a support role rather than the op role, which puts the op on Def. And Def was not really a primary opper coming into North America. He used to play in the UK scene. He was more of a rifler. In fact, if you look at his HLTV stats, I think he uses the op like 15 to 20% of the time. Most of the action we've seen him with was with a rifle. So they've hamstringed one player, and they have another player who's still sort of picking up the pieces, and then Shinobi's just kind of rounding out the mix. So the CT side sometimes can be a little bit rough for them too, but we'll see what compLexity is able to put on the board.
Well, last night when they played their series against Cloud9, they actually got 10 rounds on the T side, 5 rounds on the CT side, and then that was their comeback to bring it into overtime. So we'll see if they can kind of replicate that Terrorist side performance, but really it's going to be their lackluster CT that's kind of pinned them down in the past on certain maps. So hopefully they can bring more to the table, as they did opt to start on the CT side. So maybe they've got a couple of tricks up their sleeves, but we'll have to see how that all pans out. Bomb moving over towards the bathroom side right now. It is on the back of Stanislaw. He's going to be bringing it up here. Shinobi's going to be the point of contact in this A bomb site. He's alone. Fraud's got the quick rotation over from Heaven outside of the B bomb site, but Shinobi's going to be able to open up. He's going to look for a couple more here before he falls, and he's going to get an opportunity. Picks off 2. Does have one coming around from the side door to battle right now, and Nap finally going to be able to take him down. And Dap's going to even things to a 3-on-3, but now the rotation is on. 1 from Bank, 2 from Stairs. We'll see what kind of retake they have on compLexity.
And Daps is playing that perfectly there, just being a nuisance, trying to prevent them from getting into sight. Stan is still posted up on long right now. He's waiting for the push. Oh, a great shot from Def, but they double stack this area. I don't think they're going to be expecting this. And there you go. Stan pounces and takes out the bomb diffuser and the one other covering him. And there you go, a 3K for Stan at the end of the round. Perfectly played. Really just proper positioning from OpTic. You never really anticipate 2 players playing the same spot, and it's exactly what OpTic was hoping for. And compLexity falls into the trap, and OpTic is able to pick up the pistol.
Even hit him with the bags after that was all said and done. So a little BM and going on there. OpTic up 1-0. They're going to go for a moderate buy right now. 3 SMGs on the board, a UMP, a MAC-10, and a MP7. Going to also be kind of embellished with that Galil and that AK-47. Hardly any investment here for the CT side. They don't go for any body armor, no head armor. They went for a couple of nades. They threw a flash out from Fountain side. This might catch out the MAC-10 of Daps, but he's just going to go to town right now. Does spray and pray, not able to find that second kill, and now it's going to be Shazam long range with the Glock. He finds a couple. Actually gets 3 out of that before they can finally quell that anger, but Shinobi, he's only going to have an MP7 to work with in the rest of this round.
I mean, he gets half the money, though, because of the fact that 2 of those kills came with the Glock. If he kept on the SMG, he would have gotten $600 instead of 3, but not really that important. They're just looking to pick up the round. Shinobi trying to make his way into connector. Obviously not going to happen. Aim punch takes over Stanislaw with the UMP, guns him down. It's now 2 in a row for OpTic, and another save to be coming in from compLexity. I like what they went with there, the flash through in mid. It just didn't really pan out. They were playing a little bit further back on mid, so, or I should say more towards T-spawn. If anything, they were back towards Fountain. So they go for the flash through on Fountain. It just really didn't pan out the way they anticipated. They did take down both players, but it cost them all 4. The only player that was left was Shinobi.
Yeah. So the reward out of that play wasn't really as good, and it looks like they're actually going to maybe humor the idea of doing it again. They got this smoke up here by Fountain side. 2 nades come around the corner. They don't really connect, and there's the flash out. They're going to be able to catch him a little bit more this time, but it's going to be Daps with 2 MAC-10 kills. He's going to look for a 3rd, and he gets it. Still trying to shuck and jive behind that Fountain, but he can't get it done just yet. And it's going to be down to Sanks and Roka again this time around, and it's going to be a 3-on-2.
And they're completely kitless, and all they're really going to get is a MAC-10, so Roka's going to do his best job to take a few guns out of the hands. Actually, they did find the UMP towards Fountain as well. So they're going to try and do some damage here. The remaining players for OpTic do have rifles, so anything they can take away would be rather large for compLexity here. But they do have the bomb down, and they're just waiting. It's very unlikely that compLexity is really going to be able to do anything. The boys from OpTic are more than likely going to exit together. If they exit separately, that would be a little bit foolish. And they do appear to be heading back towards T-spawn, but Roka is set up in position. Maybe able to catch one. Nope, that's not going to happen. So Sanks will get to hold on to the UMP for another round. Probably just going to upgrade, though.
I'd actually be kind of surprised if he does upgrade from that, or maybe drops that over to a teammate to use in the next round, because the UMP is a pretty formidable gun to take into a full buy round. So see what they decide to do, and yeah, he actually does just throw it away. So a little bit disappointed by that, because you can do some work with the UMP, even against the head armor, with the armor pin that it does have. But nevertheless, it's going to be our first full gun round. 3-0 for OpTic. Up in the hands of Shazam, up in the hands of Def. We saw him try to do work with it on the CT side last night when they were playing against Cloud9 on this very map. Again, going to take a very aggressive play over here towards the flower beds outside of Long A. And then Shazam is going to be over opping towards the Fountain side. So if he goes for that Long A peak, we could have our first op on op battle, and it could come very early in this round. And you can see, actually, they're going to go ahead and work their way around here. And Def actually fired a shot off, so they know that he's over here by Long A.
And Shazam is being really careful here as he peeks. He's checking every possible spot. He sees the shoulder, and a great shot onto Def, but it's just a wallbang shot. Def is actually going to get the response. Not going to get away, though, so a refrag comes in for OpTic. And a minor amount of map control. They gained Long A, but unfortunately they're going to fall back. They don't want to walk into A this early in the round. They want to see what else is happening on the map. You can see they've got Sanks pushed up a little bit aggressively in bathrooms right now, trying to get some information on mid. Right by his side is Shinobi. They're trying to double peek and maybe pull some players into Sanks. Shinobi's going to go for the peek on mid. Down he goes, so the bait is not going to be laid out. But Rush does run in a little bit foolishly with a nade in his hand, so he's going to go down, as does Nafly. So Sanks doing work in this position, but now his position is sold out. Stanislaw coming around the bend. Takes a lot of damage for his troubles, down to 3 HP, but Daps, a huge headshot onto the man jumping up towards the dumpsters. That's Roka down. And it's all on the 1.6 legend himself, Fraud, to play a very peculiar map for a 1.6 player in Overpass.
Yeah, but the sad part about this is that Bomb is rotating back over. He's got Daps by truck, and Daps just... He's having a match right now, and this is one of the names that you have that we really haven't said too terribly much about throughout the season, because as far as last season was concerned, he was kind of not performing as well. You know, he's the IGL, he's been calling for them in the past, and his performance was like that. Lately, though, he's been spitting hot fire out of the end of his AKs, man. I mean, it's been absolutely nuts. He's stepped up. He's actually the highest performing impact player on the team right now for OpTic, which is crazy to think because that's not a name that we say all that much. You know, Shazam with the op, Rush, Stanislaw lurking things out, Nafly. These are all, you know, names that we say a whole lot more than Daps, but lately Daps has just been wrecking.
Yeah, according to what I'm seeing on the stats, Daps is sitting at 13.93 RWS with a .766 and an 85 ADR. And then the rest of the team's been playing really well too, like Stan's at 92.9 with a .846 and 13.51. And Rush just below them, 79.4, .811, 12.95. I mean, these numbers are all really good. It's why the team has been doing as well as they have. Everyone's really been stepping up, and I'm also pleasantly surprised with the way that Daps has been playing. You know, on the old roster with Conquest, and even when he played in the past, I always kind of saw him as the weaker link of a team. But I'm really proud of him, I guess to say, to see him step up his game a little bit more, rounding out the rough edges. Because he is a very formidable in-game leader, so to see him be able to fill out the fragging role as well, it's going to bode well for OpTic in the future.
Yeah, that's really scary for the other teams to see all 5 members kind of clicking and playing well together, playing good team CS. You know, that's really kind of one of the scariest parts about it, because individually they're very skilled. And then once you have all 5 of them working together, it's just going to be pretty much done. And you can see they've taken over this A-bomb site. Fraud goes down. The MAC-10 from Shazam going to net him 2 kills. That's $1,200. Rush going to chime in. Last one's going to be Sanks over here at B. They did invest a little bit into this round. He does have body armor and a 5.7, so as to fight the aim punch, but probably not going to be too much of a factor in this round, as there are 5 alive still. And the only one that's taken any damage is Shazam at 35 HP. I think he actually lost a little bit of health jumping out of heaven over there, but nevertheless, he's just going to go for the hunt. And Sanks over here at Long's going to get caught out sooner or later. There is one player coming around. It's Rush. And he's going to sneak on up here and probably give him a little bit of a high five with an AK bullet to the face. Oh, never mind. Sanks pounces. But now they're going to swarm. They know exactly where he is. And he's not probably not going to get very far, and he doesn't. Yeah, Stanislaw finishes him off. So 1 casualty for the terrorist side of OpTic. It's Rush. But again, I mean, look at the money that's starting to build up here for the terrorist side. I mean, Shazam does invest into an op. He's going to be the low bank at 1K, but over 10 grand for Stan. He hasn't even died yet.
Yeah, you kind of wonder why Stan didn't drop him the op in that position, because he's got almost 11K. And like you said, he hasn't died yet. He's been able to hold on to that AK for a while. The rest of his team's still sitting pretty low as well. Shazam's really the one that's died the most. But even at 4 deaths, that's not that many, considering we are in the 5th round. He's been kind of getting picked off a little bit early in the round. He did lose that battle to the man on long. That was Def with the op. This time around, though, Def is going to take his op into water, peek towards the short canal. There's only one player on the T side over in that direction. It's Nafly, and he's heading way back towards T-spawn. He's watching to see if they push too aggressively in. And then in mid, we've got Shinobi sitting on the other side of that smoke, buying his time, but the T side's making their way up. Sanks, he's also holding the op, and he's about to get shot in the feet if he's not careful. Stan comes right around the edge, and the man we just spoke of, adding another frag to the tally. And now it's just one player on the A side trying to lock it down.
Yeah, he actually pushed through a smoke that was thrown at Fountainside, and it's curious to see that, you know, it's not a wall, it's a smoke. People can rush through it. That's something that Stewie's kind of gotten a little bit of fame for. And Shinobi was playing on very back passive in the bathroom, so they were able to creep through both of the smokes, one at Fountain, one at the front side of bathrooms, and just completely catch Sanks unawares. And that's the frag that, you know, if Shinobi would have stuck around and played a little bit more aggressive in bathrooms, that they probably wouldn't have been able to push around and get that position on his Sanks. But nevertheless, they get punished for it early on. And now look at this, 2 players right next to each other, Daps and Shinobi. Oh, he spots his back. He's going to follow him all the way down. This is actually going to be a really smart play from Shinobi if he doesn't pull the trigger early. But he takes the shot anyway.
Fraud tosses that molly, and they just kind of get trapped behind it. They're going to push through it, but they somehow don't lose any damage. They do throw a smoke on top of it. Okay, oh, bit of a mistake there. Shazam throws the smoke right on top of the molly that just came out from Nafly. A few mistakes made by OpTic in that round result in a round for compLexity. and they are able to save at least one op that's going to go on the back of Def. Actually looks like he wants to toss it off potentially. No, he was just buying up for a teammate. So they will continue to have the op in play on both sides as OpTic had more than enough money to work with, like we just mentioned. The first death for Stan finally comes in the 6th round. He's now sitting at 8-1, top fragging for his team alongside Daps, who is 8-4. On the opposite side, a much more even affair, but a much lower tally in total, as compLexity has struggled to win these duels early on. And again, it seems to be a favored A presence early from OpTic.
Yeah, just fanning out, taking over Playground and Party. This time around, there's no AWP over here by Long A, so you can see Stan actually getting hyper-aggressive. He's already pushed up outside of the bathroom's connector. So if they continue to press on up, I mean, they've got Def at this off angle. They've got Sanks. He's going to go back and take a look here at Long A and see if he can spot anything. Actually going to drop a smoke out. Cheeky little smoke. Throws a shoulder peek out there nonetheless, and Fraud actually spammed down to 63 at the beginning of this round. There was actually good spam at the beginning of last round too. Roka was at like 50. He was able to pick off the last two kills from Heaven, but he had to change up his position and play much more passive.
Def tries to go for a shot through the pipe there in mid. Didn't quite hit. I think it was Rush jumping around in the background. I don't know if you can actually shoot through that just because you can see through it. Doesn't mean the bullet will penetrate. On the other side of Def's scope is Stanislaw. They're playing a little bit of a limbo right now as Def seems to think that a player could be coming from this direction. Finally, Stan peeks. Oh, hi, peekaboo. I'm still here. A great shot from Stanislaw interrupts the alt presence on the A site. And Stan's now going to be making his way up mid with the rest of the T side. The rotate is on here for compLexity with Roka coming up from stairs, as is Shinobi. They've already made their way up into the site. Shinobi's trying to spam the bomb, but can't quite find it. Stan hits another great shot to take down Sanks, but Roka responds. Kills going each direction. Daps and Shinobi picking up one apiece, but it's a 2v3 and a great shot from Shazam to solidify the site hold, and now it's just Roka to try and retake this.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy things from this guy in the past. He's going to do good damage there. On to Daps, takes him down. Now Stanislaw going to try to peek the same angle, and he is going to be able to find that last kill. 3 kills on the round for him. Nicely done. And I actually saw somebody in chat earlier. I suggested the knife name to Roka, and he picked it. I don't know if you've actually read that or not, but I'm really that's one of my prouder moments.
I've seen a few really good ones. Some of them can't be repeated.
The Ginger Avenger, man. I thought that was great. He loved it, so he went and named his knife after that. So I was really proud about that.
So
it's my shining moment as a caster.
That's your claim to fame.
Yeah.
One time when I was younger, I encountered a Roka at a bar. That's an eco reset here for compLexity. They're back down to like no money. Roka's the only one with any cash on the team. Really struggling early on. I kind of saw this one coming. OpTic is just a little bit more well-rounded as a team, more well-versed. The synergy is obviously there for OpTic. It is not there at all for compLexity. One of the things I've said about them in the past is they have a few good players, but they just don't really seem to mesh. I feel like Fraud and Def just aren't really clicking with the rest of the team. Fraud could probably regain some of his 1.6 presence, but even if he could, he just doesn't seem to work with the roster right now. He's struggling at 2-7. Def has had the op. He hasn't really made too much of an impact. He had that one round where he picked off Shazam on long. That was basically his biggest implementation in a round for compLexity yet. So it's really just been OpTic who's just kind of running away with this one, and I anticipate this to just continue as compLexity just starts to crumble with all the pressure on top of them right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Actually, last night when they played against Cloud9 on this same map, Fraud actually did relatively well. Granted, it was Roka and Sanks that led the way, but Fraud wasn't too terribly far behind him. He got over 20-some-odd kills over the duration of that, so I was actually really pleased to see him perform as well as he did. Obviously, off to a slow start in this matchup. Still a lot of CS left to be played. I mean, they're only 7 rounds in, just barely past the halfway mark of the first half. So we'll see if they can recover. But again, that reset, that hurts bad. Roka might be able to pick up a deagle, but the rest of them are going to be on pretty much stock pistols going through this. And a timeout from the compLexity camp. Obviously, they need to talk about what they need to figure out moving forward into this next round, especially into the next gun round.
Yeah, and if they buy in the next round, they're going to be really broke. So they're probably going to do it because they can't afford to give OpTic, that 7th and 8th round. Because the reality is you're in a pistol round now. Unlikely that you're going to pick up the round. It does happen, but it's pretty rare when it's a full eco. So compLexity is looking at a 7-1 with potentially another eco to follow. And they're probably going to force in the next one. And by that point, the money from OpTic will have been pretty good. That they'll probably lose a few guns, but it won't hurt them too much. And then compLexity will lose a few guns. Even if they pick up the round, it's going to hurt them more. Things just don't look good for compLexity, and this is one of their biggest problems, is their inability to control the economy. They've always had a hard time kind of buying up when they can't afford to buy up, like force buying, but they don't have to, or sometimes they have to. Like they're just in these awkward situations consistently because they lose too many rounds in a row to their opponent, and they realize if we give anything else to them, it's going to be too hard to come back from this.
Yeah, that's the big thing, and now Nap just going to barrel on out of the door. He actually gets tagged up a little bit there, but it's going to be okay. Spraying and praying with the MAC-10. He's going to find a second. Does peek out. Def is going to capitalize on that. They swap out for a pistol upgrade, and Stan is actually down to 4 HP as well. But Def and Fraud have taken a little bit of damage also, so they're going to be kind of discounted in this round, and there you go. Def actually goes down. Rush at Monster side is going to be able to find that kill, and now it's going to be down to Fraud and Sanks, and now just Sanks. Zep flanked Apps. Where did he even come from? He must have just rushed through the A bomb site, came down around through CT spawn, down through the corridors, the catacombs, if you will, and flanked them out, ripped their heads off. He's 11-5, 11-1 for Stan. He's only died one time throughout the duration of the first 9 rounds of this.
I mean, this is like that hyper-confident play you expect to see from a team that's up 7-1. OpTic is going to start slowly veering away from the typical team play aspects, and you're going to see them start to, like, de-evolve into a puggier team, because they're just going to be like, all right, we're kind of destroying these guys. Let's just run around and end this one quick. We'll just get kills left and right and put this one to rest. And that's kind of what's happening now with the way they're playing. They've sped up a lot compared to how they played early on. Early on, they were going for a little more presence towards Fountain, kind of seeing what the CT side's doing. Now they just seem keen to put themselves in positions where they can outfrag their opponent. Hopefully it doesn't backfire for OpTic, even though they're up 7-1. This could actually turn into a decent half for compLexity. They'd have to win out from here on out to have even a good half, but they could still bring this one back and make it close, so that if they came over to the T side, they could actually pick up pistol and bring it back. But a good trade here for OpTic as they get a 2-for-1 on the B site. Stanislaw doing work as always, and there goes Daps yet again. The MAC-10 just reigning king. It's Sanks all by himself, an all too familiar tale.
Well, the thing is with the money being so limited on the compLexity side, they couldn't force up and get the head armor. I mean, Def had it, but that close range with the MAC-10, one missed shot and he's dead regardless of having any armor. And then the player behind him had no armor, no head armor at all, so he just got shredded, taken apart. And now Sanks over here in Subway, he's got to be able to try to hold on to this rifle to go into the next round. But it's 8-1 now. compLexity going to be forced on another reset. You can see, look at the investment that they had. Only person with money at all was Def, $200. Everybody else emptied the bank account. And I mean, again, this is a situation where they went through the entirety of cash last night against Cloud9, and I don't think a single person broke double-digit frags on the compLexity side, which is crazy because you expect your Sanks and Roka to pretty much go off on every single team to really keep compLexity alive in some of these matchups. We've seen Shinobi step up. We've seen Fraud from time to time have a good match or two. Def, pretty consistent in the middle of the pack as far as their fraggers are concerned, but when nobody's performing, this is when we see compLexity at their lowest. And again, this is another time, just like Cash last night, where nobody's really stepping up and getting the heavy work done. And now it's going to be Sanks with the M4, Lone Ranger style out here, long A. He's got no support with him as it's a stack at B, and they've got a head stack over here.
Well, they are going to get the 1 AK, so they're going to be able to pick off Navfly. That gives them 2 rifles, but Sanks is now in a really tight spot. He's going to be able to backpedal behind that smoke. Actually, a great shot as he dinks Rush coming through the smoke. Now Stanislaw follows up. He might be able to take him down as well, but it's Shazam coming in to bail him out with the AWP. And it does put us at a 3-on-4 right now, but the CT side has managed to find themselves at least 1 rifle. It is going to be armorless on Shinobi. They lost the armor rifle that Sanks carried over from the previous round. And they're going to kind of stack up over towards the A site with only Def over towards B. But, you know, when you look at compLexity, Roka and Sanks, to me, are a tag team duo. If one of them isn't performing, the other one doesn't really seem to either. It's like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. You got to have them both firing on all cylinders. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. If one of them's off, both of them are off. And right now, it seems like Sanks is struggling, as is Roka. I mean, they both just can't seem to really catch fire like you would normally expect them to do.
Does that make Fraud the coach of the team?
I think he's Steve Kerr.
Okay, so then Shinobi is definitely the Dennis Rodman.
That makes sense.
Anyway, we're going to get back into this one. Shinobi, though, he is going to be able to find one more kill. They lose the AK out of heaven, but Roka picks it up, and he's going to be able to peek out, finds another kill. So this is still in the realm of possibility for the CT side of compLexity. Now the bomb does get planted. Fraud's not going to take any kind of an extra aggressive peek, and Roka will, though. Finds that kill. Fraud's going to get the op, and they are going to be able to toss that over for Def in the next round, but compLexity, they steal a round away, and they do it in a pretty solid fashion.
One of the problems that I've seen with compLexity before is that when a team realizes where Roka and Sanks are playing, they just don't go there. They know that they're the strong, prominent players. I watched compLexity play Cash against Energy, and they went A like 80% of the rounds. The reason why was because Roka was covering B. And even though Sanks was playing A, he was isolated, so it was just a matter of overwhelming him with a good smoke take. So that's what's been happening with them all season, and as long as OpTic avoids one of those players, they're pretty much guaranteed a site. If they don't stack them, it's pretty easy to take a site where there's no Roka or no Sanks, because the rest of the team just can't quite compete with the overflow of T-side players that are pouring in. Right now, more A presence here from OpTic as they stack up towards Fountain, trying to get that info on mid early. There's one in connector, Shinobi. He gets spotted, so now he's got to be careful. He's got Daps right around the bend. Nades landing on his feet, and down he goes. A great start for OpTic yet again.
Looked a little bit confused as to what he wanted to do or where he wanted to go. He knew that he was getting pinched from both Subway and from the top side of Party. This time around now, because of that one kill, they have control over by the squeaky door, and Fraud is kind of stuck down here in the water pit on short B. So this is a really kind of tough spot for him to be in. Granted, he's not going to get pressured from the backside, but again, the op-on-op battle, Shazam's going to win that, but Roka and Sanks answer back. It's a 3-on-3. They've got to be careful, though. Stanislaw has made his way up into the site, and Daps does find Fraud at B, so now they know that Roka's at A. They can back that bomb off along A and work their way back around towards the B bomb site.
The scary thing with Roka is even if he's on A, you know how fast he can get to B, especially with a map like this. The top-down rotation is so quick, but the man's got movement like whoa. I mean, he is like flying around the map.
Like whoa.
Like whoa. How many clips have we seen on Reddit now where he just like flies into a position he should not be able to get into almost instantaneously and comes up with a huge play? So this is very winnable for Roka. It comes down to getting the man who is planting the bomb. If he can pick Nafly off before he gets cat, doesn't happen. It would have been way more manageable. It could have forced himself into a 1v1, and he would have basically anticipated that he would have been long or catwalk. But now Roka is in a really difficult spot. Both players in water, and he has no kit, so almost unwinnable at this point.
Yeah, we'll see. He's going to hit the first shot, hits them both. What was that about unwinnable?
Just Roka things.
Just Roka things. No kit, but that fire doesn't spread wide enough, so he's going to get right on the defuse. And, yeah, 4 kills for his troubles, and he saves it. And now he's up to 12-8, so he's catching up to where Stanislaw and Daps are. So now we see Roka carry mode engaged.
Now, while that was a great play from Roka, I almost consider that a mistake from OpTic. They heard him push cat. You don't have to aggress. You don't have to take that fight. Stanislaw repeaks. He's feeling a little bit confident, and he loses the battle. It's not really that big of a deal. It's water under the bridge because of the fact that OpTic has already gotten 8 rounds. But you don't want a man like Roka to become confident and start feeling it, because then he'll start punishing you with that confidence. You kind of want to keep him in a position where he's a little bit frustrated and he hasn't been able to warm up. So that round could potentially backfire in the long run, but even still, I mean, it's going to be hard for compLexity to come back from this one, especially with Roka going down very early in the round. Again, 1:30 left, and one of the top fraggers for the CT side is off the board, but Def responds by pushing long. They've got a 2-man push here. Sanks pushed up towards Rock, as did Def, and they were able to take down the op on the opposite side. Now Nafly goes down. All of a sudden, this is spun into favor for the CT side. With all of the T-side players from OpTic stacked up in connector, they're going to have to find a new method of attack here. As the bomb is back towards T-spawn, they could still decide to go back towards A if they wanted, but it looks like they're favoring towards the B site.
And again, I mean, slow play, Rush coming up. They've got full party control, and with that, they're going to be able to dispatch of him. So nicely done here in compLexity, looking to put a 4th round on the board. They've got a 2-man advantage. The bomb working its way towards B. And there you go. Fraud peeks out a little wide. Shinobi should be able to trade, and he does. He doesn't take any damage from that either. And now they've spotted out Daps. They know exactly where he is. Now, Daps has been playing pretty hot lately, but Shinobi's going to shut him down 4-8 now for compLexity.
So compLexity's finding their way back into it a little bit. They did manage to get a couple of games that were pretty close, so it wasn't necessarily that they were getting blown out. In fact, let me see here. I think there was multiple games. They've lost 5 games all season by 4 rounds or less. If they win those games, changes their record altogether. It's 15 rounds separated them from being a 7-3 team to where they are as a 2-8 team. 15 rounds across all of their games all season. That's all it would have taken to make them a 7-3 team, which would put them much higher in position than they currently are. So Yeah, they've been struggling, but they've been making it close. Same aspect. So has AGG. AGG has lost like almost all of their games with double-digit rounds. I think like only one time did they only get like single-digit rounds in all of the matches across the season. So it's not exactly the greatest comparison for skill level. You can kind of luck your way into some of those rounds. You pick up pistol, you get 6 if you pick up both pistols potentially. But even still, I mean, the fact that compLexity is able to fight, even if they aren't able to close things out, there is promise. I just think they need to figure out their roster situation.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of people kind of talk about, you know, the ideology ideology of having Roka on, you know, some of these other teams, and they do a little bit of, you know, North American CS theory crafting, if you will. Not to say that Roka should be on a different team or anything of that nature, but you know, seeing him play on the likes of a Cloud9 as opposed to their recent acquisition of Stewie 2K, or being on a team like CLG before they got Fugly on the team, even though they've started to mesh relatively well, or even playing on a team like Liquid, you know, kind of see what kind of an impact Roka might have on a roster like that, because I mean, he's absolutely insane. Some of the rounds that we've seen, even just over the last like 2 seasons, I mean, we could have a 5-minute highlight clip of some of the stuff that Roka's been able to pull off in some of these matches. That's absolutely ridiculous. From his, you know, 1D clutch on Dust 2 against Cloud9 last season, to some of the rounds that we've seen so far in this season. And now he's just going to get mollied out and probably burned alive. Yeah, he's going to get taken down. Daps and Nap going to open up, though. Fraud and Roka both go down, so that B defense is completely shattered.
Yeah, I think he's one of the probably the best players in North America, and I just don't think people really fully can understand how good he is yet, because of the fact that he's playing with a team that's struggling. I think if we put him on a team that's a little bit better, we would see more consistent performances from Roka. And even the same could be said about Sanks. Both players kind of feel trapped right now with a team that doesn't feel like all the pieces are really there. And I'm not trying to bash on Fraud, Shinobi, or Def. Things just aren't clicking for compLexity. You know, Def could play fine with a different team. Def could probably play fine if you put the op on somebody else. He's a very capable rifler. And I've seen it time and time again. When he's not opping, he'll put a rifle in his hands because they're broke, and he picks up a 3K. But they feel compelled to keep the op on him for whatever reason, and it's causing them some struggles. And you can see there he is able to get one, gets traded out immediately, drops the op. At the end of the round, doesn't really matter anyway. compLexity wasn't really going to have a full buy coming in here. They would have loved to held on to that op. Def could have dropped a rifle. It would have changed the buy a little bit, but instead it's going to be this kind of awkward split. They're forcing up regardless. So compLexity just like fighting for air right now. Every once in a while, OpTic will give them a breath, but for the most part, compLexity is getting strangulated by OpTic Gaming.
Yeah, a little bit of a mishmash buy going on here, and they're already out from the backside of Playground, but Sank's picking up one. Shinobi's chiming in as well. They overexert themselves and they trade it right back. Rather than falling back to bathrooms and taking a little bit more of a passive angle, they push forward and they throw away 2 of their lives. So instead of it being a 5-on-3, now it's a 3-on-2. So a little bit foolish there from the compLexity side, but they should be able to manage the rest of this round. Granted, it is Stanislaw alive, and he is the top fragger at 19 kills right now. He's really stepped up the last couple of matches that we've seen from OpTic.
Yeah, in general, I mean, he's having a stellar performance this season. I think looking at the statistics, he's like been at the top for most of the stat lines in all of Pro League right now. I think like ADR and FPR, he's way towards the top, like top 5 in both of those categories. So you could see it kind of playing out here. Shazam coming around with his less favored gun here, the AK-47, tries to get into a duel with Def. And there you go. Def now has 2 on the round. Used a FAMAS to get the first one. Picked up an AK. Now he's found another. He's got Stan coming down the stairs. He's trying to take a different angle here. Stan's going to take him down, though, peeking towards the wrong direction. And now it's on Stanislaw here in a 1v2 to try and bring this back for OpTic.
Roka's in a good spot right now, though, to try to shut this down if he does come back and around and goes towards that A-bomb site. And he's actually going to favor going towards long A, so we're going to see a duel really, really early on in this one. And there it is. There's the peak, and Roka can't line it up. Stanislaw down to 15 HP. He's got to ace it to win it. He's up against Fraud, who's at the bottom at 3-12 right now, so we'll see if Fraud can actually clutch this one out. But again, bomb gets planted, and Stan's actually got a little bit of time to get into a decent post-plant. Flashbang goes out. He's going to hightail it over towards long A, and he's definitely in a good spot for this round. But unfortunately, Fraud's going to clean him up. So the 4 kills all for naught. The bomb plant does go down, so they'll have plenty of money going into the final round. But compLexity going to get their 5th round on the board. And this is almost a repeat of the half that we saw from compLexity on CT side cash last night against Cloud9, where it was 10-5, Cloud9 T side half.
So Fraud actually pulls off this big clutch, and it's a huge round for compLexity. It looked like Stanislaw might actually take that. He had good positioning. He's been playing so well. Fraud, not necessarily a bad player, but you would kind of think that Stanislaw and Fraud in an aim duel, you can pick who's going to win that one. It just really came down to HP and timing from Fraud to take that one to the end for compLexity. So they find themselves on 5 rounds, looking to pick up a 6th, at least make it so that if they win the pistol, they can bring it to a tie score. And at this point, compLexity has hit probably about as many rounds as I would have anticipated them to get in this game. OpTic kind of relaxed halfway through the first half here. You could see their playstyle change, and they started to let compLexity slip back into it. They've tightened up a little bit more now, but that round there just came down to that 1v1. Stan just couldn't quite clutch it out. I mean, it was a big ace if he picks it up. Sanks is going to be in sight with behind Dice right now. A good pop flash, but it's not going to be enough as the entire OpTic team pushes around long. Only one player towards mid. That was Daps. Daps already running back towards mid, towards the connector. They're going to plant front Dice right now, and it's going to make it so difficult, especially with Stanislaw just giving haircuts to all the players on compLexity. He's looking for more free haircuts right now from Stanislaw. He's picked off 2 in the round. He's got Def very close, Roka in bank, and it's going to be a pretty unwinnable situation for compLexity. They're going to rely on Roka to open things up, and he does get 2. Now Def gets 1. All of a sudden, this swings back towards compLexity as Daps only has a Tech 9. Bomb is planted for him, but it's going to be very difficult for him to stop this one. The Tech 9 at range, just not ideal. Puts a dink onto Def. Now he's got to take the fight with Roka, and he's going to pull it off. A huge clutch play from Roka turns into a bigger one from Daps, and OpTic is able to take the first half 10-5 over compLexity.
Well, that's a little disappointing right there, but 10-5 half, kind of what we expected to see here. I mean, it's a repeat of last night. Now, granted, compLexity, once they got on the T side, they started to really start to string some rounds together. So it's going to be a matter of what is OpTic going to bring to the table here on CT side of Overpass. So we'll have to see how that one pans out as we go live into this pistol round right here, right now. And again, OpTic going to be on the CT side now, compLexity on the T side, 10-5, 5-round difference between these two teams. OpTic taking a pretty substantial lead into the second half, but it all comes down to this pistol round. compLexity, if they win this, they're going to get themselves potentially up to a 10-8 score line, and then they're right back in this. If they lose this, it's going to spiral out of hand very, very quickly.
I mean, no one wants to see Fraud succeed more than me. You know, I've been playing CS for a long time. I've been watching CS for a long time. To see his name back in the scene at the top would be awesome. But right now, we keep pointing it out just because it was a confusing move initially. So we're not trying to disrespect the man who's been around for as long as he has. Either way, compLexity in the pistol round here, losing a lot of bodies as they try to make their way into the B site. And OpTic completely shuts them down. Not able to pick up a frag. They did goosh Daps down very low to 3 HP. He was the one player holding a kit in the round for OpTic. But the B hold from OpTic is true, and compLexity is now in a really tight spot where it's very possible OpTic could just close this one out 16-5.
Unbeknownst to the compLexity roster, they ran into a 4-man stack over there at B. So, a little bit unfortunate there that they weren't able to get anything out of that round. I don't think they even got a kill out of that entirety of that round, so they're all going to be on the same kind of money. It's a full Glock save, so they're trying to put as much money as they possibly can in the bank moving forward into the next round, but right now, I mean, it's a money-making mission here from the CT side, and they're going to have a golden opportunity to put a lot of ching in the bank right now as they've got 4 SMGs into this round. They went for a heavy play on the B-bomb site and just let Shazam jump peek this. He needs to make sure that these Glocks don't get up on him, and now he's going to spot it. Just lobs out a nade. Now he's going to be able to go with the spray and pray with the SMG. Finds 2, looking for a third, gets it, switches over to the pistol, but they do get the plant. So it is going to be a 3rd round buy here from the terrorist side as they invested nothing into this round, but eventually it does end up getting cleaned up, and OpTic will pick up their 12th round.
Yeah, so OpTic's going to have to ditch these SMGs. Shazam's going to be thrilled. He just got, 3 kills with that SMG, so he's going to have plenty of money to work with. They're definitely going to want to ditch the MP7, the UMP, even potentially in that MP9. Go for the rifles because they know they're going to be faced off against AKs here. It could be a bit of a mistake if OpTic does not buy off these SMGs just because they have to anticipate this coming. They know that it was a Glock buy in that round. Shazam would have called it out, armorless Glock. Not only that, they get the bomb plant. All the clues are there. But for some reason, they feel content with these SMGs. They're going to hold on to all of them. Daps, Rush, and Nafly still hold on to the SMGs. A potential window of opportunity here for compLexity.
Yeah, but we saw how Daps was with the MAC-10. He's basically got the CT counterpart to that, the MP9. So we'll see if he's able to shred some dome skis going into this round. There's a quick peek, and actually there's some damage being dealt. Granted, Shinobi does take down Naf, but Def gets dinked down to 16 HP with that SMG. So now they also know that it's a full buy coming out from the terrorist side.
Oh, Daps had an opportunity there as he took some shots towards the door as it cracked open in water. Now he's going to be going for the jump peaks here with his MP9, trying to spot these players out. He knows one of them is heavily lit. Oh, he sees them right on the other side of that wall. He's going to try and time this nade perfectly. The mollies are on point here, but Daps just runs right on through. And here you go. The pinch is on. The SMG is not able to handle the absolute... SMG is not able to handle the absolute obliteration of sight by compLexity with these rifles. And now Stan and Shazam left to try and retake. Stan working his way all the way back through connector. I think he wants to save at this point. Looking at what he's got on his back, he doesn't seem like he really wants to go for it. He's so far out of position. He's trying to now come in on the full flank, but he was taking his time with that. I mean, walking all the way through connector, he burned a lot of clock with that move.
Yeah, but one goes down, looking for another one around the backside of the pole, and they're going to be able to peek out off a short. They finally swarm, but Stan is here. This should be Stan's round. Oh, Def, never mind. Gonna hit a couple of rippers there at the end, takes him down, so compLexity does get out of that round. But the money is okay here on the CT side, so I expect another buy. Shazam's gonna go for a pistol armor buy. The rest of them will probably pick up rifles, because they want to reset that money immediately on compLexity's side. So I'd kind of be surprised if they didn't go for a buy, and actually they aren't. They're gonna quasi-buy this one. Pistol armor, they do have a couple of smokes, some nades, and then a kit on Daps. So they don't fully invest, but they buy just enough that they can make this a competitive round.
I think part of that is feeling comfortable with the way the game has played out thus far. They know they're up double up over their opponent in compLexity, so they're looking to just do damage with these pistols as much as they can. Good damage early on as Daps gets one. Shazam chimes in with the P250 as well, but now they swarm the B site and it's just Nafly with the Deagle. Manages to pick off Shinobi, so an impressive amount of damage. They do take 3 rifles out of the hands of compLexity. But it's a 7th round now, and they're only down 5 with OpTic coming into another buy, and still no op on the board here for OpTic. Shazam's going to be on the M4 instead, and a little bit light on utility too. You can see he's got just 1 smoke, no defuse. Stanislaw also without the defuse. They've got 3 across the board. Daps a little bit light on utility as well with just 1 smoke.
Yeah, and that's the big thing right now. The Galil from Shinobi can do some damage here, as the head armor will be an issue for 4 out of the 5 CTs. But again, the AKs for the rest of them is not going to be too big of a problem for that. We'll see how this one pans out. Again, it's going to be relatively standard here. Shazam playing a little bit forward towards bathrooms. That's really the only bit of aggression from OpTic. The rest of them are all playing relatively passive. Stanislaw just going for this jump peak right now. But 5 rounds back to the difference. OpTic still on top, 12-7. We have a little bit of an aim duel going out early in this round. It's Shazam versus Roka, and Roka the worse for the wear. He gets 98 HP chipped off his chest early on in this round.
Look at Shazam pushing in towards mid right now. He's right on the other side of that smoke. If Def tries to go past it here, he is going to molly, and Shazam's going to push right up into the corner. Now he's got to be careful. Def's going to be coming around the bend in just a second, and you can see Def just spots a little glimpse of him, and it's all he needs. Another kill for Def. Again, we talked about how strong this player could be with the rifle. He's been trapped on the op for so long in this game, and now he's got 2 on the round, kind of the can opener for his team as he's managed to crack open the A site. But the only player left on the side of compLexity with him was Roka. He was so low on HP close towards bank, and now it's on Def. He has to go for the ace if he wants to clutch this one out. And it's looking like it is going to be a round for OpTic right now, as Stanislaw is posted up behind Optimus. Rush in bank just in front of the dumpster there. They're going to spot him towards the front of sight, and now it's just a matter of timing this one properly. Rush picks off his head, and OpTic getting another round here after letting compLexity pick up 2 and breaking their money in the process.
Yeah, and that's the biggest part, is the hard reset right here. Roka goes back onto the AK. They're going to force up behind this because they can't afford to give up any more rounds here to OpTic. They need to start stringing some stuff together in order to get themselves back into this one. 6 rounds being the difference. And again, I mean, you can tell that they're anticipating a save here from the OpTic side. I mean, they pick up a UMP. They've got an MP7, but they're going to be in for a rude awakening if it does come down to these aim duels.
Stan dropping a smoke on Monster. He just wants to sit right in front of this. It's a very common spam spot. He's got to be careful. Could easily catch a few bullets from Fraud running on the other side. It is the force up, though. The Tech 9 armor and P250 on Sanks. 1 AK And it's on Roka, the one man you'd want it to be on, and that's exactly the reason why. Roka's going to get the first kill of the round, taking out Shazam. Now he's got the bomb. He's going to go for a flash into the A site right over towards Monster. That's going to allow him to get up Catwalk. Takes the duel with Nafly, and Nafly comes out on top, but Naf and Daps both go down. Stanislaw with the UMP pushing through the smoke. Catches Sanks off guard, but it is going to be a 2v2 right now. Rush and Stanislaw trying to come into the retake. No bomb plant as of yet, but plenty of time for compLexity to try to lock down this site.
Finally, they do get the bomb down. Def is going to be locked in the site right now. He does have a Tech 9, but he's getting roasted, and Fraud takes an aim duel. He's able to find the first one. Can he clutch it out? He had a nice little clutch in a 2v1 the other night. And this time around, it's going to be the smoke, or the flash, pardon me, and he catches Rush completely unawares, but Rush wins the aim duel regardless. And OpTic going to skate away with the 14th round now, but the economy on the CT side not too terribly strong. They do have 6,900 on Rush. The rest of them are going to be pretty low. 53 plus for 2 players, 47 and 35 for the other 2, but I expect, yeah, this is Rush is going to drop the off.
Yeah, it'll be a full buy here, so it's not going to hurt them too much. And on the opposite side, compLexity put so much into that, and they did do a lot of damage to OpTic, but it wasn't about damage, it was about winning the round. Now they're at 14-7. That really felt like it was Fraud's round to win. Unfortunately, that all too brutal click. The click of the rifle as it runs out of ammo. He had Daps dead to rights, or it was at Nafly, but ultimately he just ran out of ammo and just couldn't win the duel, and a little bit of blind spray and pray for the side of OpTic is what wins the round. Fraud's going to go aggressive through Monster Canal, and him and Def are going to combine for a kill on the Stanislaw. One behind the pillar, that's going to be Daps. Daps gunning away one. Traded out immediately by Sanks. Shazam posted up towards the back of Graffiti. Great shot onto Sanks, ripping his head off. But it is still down to 2 players here on each side, and a molly is going to force Shazam out of position. But with Shinobi going down, it's all on Def to try and clutch this one out. The transplant from the UK trying to win around here for compLexity.
Not going to happen, unfortunately. Shazam playing that Graffiti position with the AWP. He's got the superior angle and the superior firepower at that range. So 15-7. Now we're on match point. Let's see whether or not compLexity can recover into this, because it's force buy after force buy after force buy right now for them, as they're just trying to get something on the board, trying to get something going, and sadly they're not able to get it done. So 8 rounds now the difference. 1 round away from defeat is compLexity here, as it is 15-7. So we'll see how this one pans out, but again, it looks like they're going to go kind of heavy over towards the B-bomb site, at least at the beginning of this round, but now we're going to wait and see where they decide to take that bomb, as it is outside of Fountain at the moment.
compLexity playing a little bit slower than we're used to seeing them play. The last few rounds have been so fast that they've been trying to leverage those Tech 9s into a better position to take down the players from OpTic. Daps with that MP9, he's all too familiar with the small SMG guns in this game. Unfortunately, it's not going to work out for him this time around. He goes down in connector, so it is down to 4 players here for OpTic very early on. Shazam still holding the op, posted up towards long right now by the map. Nafly on truck, and Stanislaw back by dumpsters. It's basically just Rush in the B site, so if they decide to head down connector, they could easily overwhelm him. But now he's getting support from Stanislaw, who's rotated out of position. So has Nafly. They just don't know where the T side is playing at this point, and they're just jumping all over the place looking for that information. So it's going to be on Shazam here in A. If they try to make their way up mid, he's going to be in a very difficult spot.
Yeah, the big thing is that they're getting a lot of control of this bathroom area without any kind of peaks being dealt from the CT side, and now you can see they actually put a smoke out to extinguish that. Shazam missing the opening shot, but it's going to be Def up in the site, but he hits a nice little shot there in the flick, and Roka's nade is going to finish him off. Luckily, he might have been able to get that shot off onto Sanks and take him down and make it a man advantage here for the CT side of OpTic, but now the rotation comes in. You can see Sanks sitting in the site. They're looking for this player to push through, and it's going to be Nafly to meet his demise. Nice shot there from Stan, though. Takes down another one. Rush as well. It's all on Shinobi, and he's only got a Tech 9. We saw Daps do it in the first half. Can Shinobi clutch this out to keep his team in it?
It's going to be quite difficult here. He has the Tech 9. He hears the defuse. Now he's going to bait out the shot. Peeks. Oh, great shot. Catches Stanislaw off guard, going for the defuse. And now Rush has to clutch this one out. And Shinobi's playing this perfectly. He's just timing this well. Look at Rush. Rush is faking the defuse right now. He's hoping to catch Shinobi off guard, but it's going to be a round for compLexity. That was a really smart play from Rush. I like the thinking there. Looking down as if he is defusing the bomb when really he's not. Trying to catch Shinobi off guard, thinking he's defusing when he goes for that jiggle peek. But that one shot came in and just took him down too low. So compLexity, they stave off yet another round. They're going to last a little bit longer here as it's come down to a 15-8. They need to win 7 more in a row. But OpTic is broke, so now it's a perfect opportunity for compLexity to pick up the 9th and potentially a 10th round.
I'm not sure who it was, but Sanks just got knifed in the backside there. And now they're just going to barrel on in. Daps is going to be able to find 1 fraud trades. And now that B-bomb site is open. Fast flank from Rush actually does dink Def down to 15 HP. Not sure if Sanks would have survived without getting knifed in the back at the beginning of that round, but we're not going to get an opportunity to really figure out whether or not that was going to be true or not. Fraud finds us another one, putting a lot of cash money in the bank right now. That's $1,200 already saved up from those 2 Mac 10 kills, and they've got this boost going on, trying to get a little bit of a jump peak going, but Naf not going to be able to line that up. He does have the Deagle Blaze. We've seen some craziness with that pistol in hand, but 15-8, soon to be 15-9.
So again, we mentioned it. compLexity may be losing games, but they're making them close. They may struggle in one half, but they pick it up in the next. And they usually put double-digit rounds on the board. I had my prediction for this map at 16-8. So they've already surpassed that mark. The question is how many more they're going to be able to put on as OpTic puts on a show here. Nafly with the Deagle. You were just talking about how wonderfully crafty he could be with that cannon of a pistol.
It's got to be a
Deagle
Deagle Blaze, though. It has to be a Deagle Blaze, yeah. If it's not a Deagle Blaze, he doesn't seem to be able to get kills with it. But anytime that he's got the Deagle Blaze, we've seen him do some crazy stuff. So something is magical in that skin for Nafly. This time around, we're going to see another save from the OpTic camp. So again, just trying to get their money right. They do force a couple of rebuys out of this last round, but now they're going to go for the flash play over here by the Monsters side. They start to gear up. Flash is going to come out here. Oh! Team damage just aimed down to 58. Rip. Shot right in the back of the head.
Fraud's trying to hold down the push here. Every time they've peeked, he's been caught out with a nade or a knife. He keeps switching between the two, and it's just perfect timing from OpTic. But they do lose the player early on in water. Gap's very close. Aim punch takes over, and the armorless pistol is just so difficult against an AK, especially once the bullets start flying. It's even harder before they shoot sometimes. At long range, you just realize that it's just a matter of time before they turn and fire. But they've got control of water right now, and also control of connector as well. As you can see, Def is in that position. There's no one on the A bomb site right now. OpTic has kind of sold themselves towards the B site, and if compLexity decided to go A, it would be a freebie, but they're still going to go towards the B site here. Both players sitting back towards Pit. Rush is going to go down. The other one in the site is Nafly. He catches Roka off guard, but it's a 4K for Sanks as compLexity picks up the 10th round and now puts themselves onto double digits before seeing another buy from OpTic.
That jump shot there from Pitt was actually pretty hysterical. That was Daps that was able to take down Roka at the end of that round. Nicely done from him, forcing another rebuy. But one of the things to note right now is Rush and Shazam at 13, 18, Naf at 15. Then it's all the way up to Daps at 23. Then way up to Stan, who's got 34 kills in this matchup right now. We're 25 rounds in, so he's +9 on the match. Or he's 9 kills over 1 FPR, pardon me. He's +20 on the match at 34 and 14. So, I mean, he is doing some serious work for OpTic. One of the main reasons why they were able to get up to 15 rounds so early in this matchup. And now you see Daps, he's going to get number 24 on the board. So trying to reel it in a little bit here. And now Nap on the backside finds 2. Roka does manage to trade that one back, but it's a 2-man advantage for OpTic right now. And this should be the coffin nail.
How does that happen? Def is in connector, and Naf just walks right out the door. They don't even turn. I think they assumed it was their teammate. They're like, oh, he's in connector. He's got us covered. And Naf's just kind of like, hey, guys, what's going on in here? Oh, you're not my teammates. And he just starts unloading in the backs of these T-side players just sitting in water getting ready for a smoke take towards the B site. And now it's just Roka and Def, and they're getting slaughtered. The very last round, potentially of regulation here, comes down to a 1v4, and it's not going to happen as Stanislaw continues in the path that he started on early in the game and closes things out for OpTic. A little bit more rounds on the board than I would have given compLexity off the start, but it's still OpTic's game.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just one of those kind of deals right there where it's like, man, Stanislaw was feeling it right there. He wasn't going to let him go down. He wasn't going to let him get that comeback going, and ends up shutting that one down. So kudos to Stan for having a hell of an opening matchup on that. And see if they can continue over on to Cash, which is one of the OpTic's better maps as well. So a map that we've seen a lot of struggles from compLexity on, and pretty decent success from the OpTic side. So I believe that we're going to take a break. We're going to stay on this stream for the time being because the other match that's on the other stream is at 12:06 right now. So we're going to do the other OpTic versus compLexity matchup on this stream. And then once that one is done for the next 2 series, we're going to switch over to the ESL main stream, which is the ESL_CSGO stream, just minus the B. But for the time being, we'll be back here in a couple of minutes. Guys, don't go anywhere. We've got Cash coming up next, OpTic versus compLexity.